Hello, friends, and welcome. I know it's been a number of months since I have posted on my YouTube channel. I'm okay. I did have shoulder surgery about a year and a half ago, and it did take some mental toll on me, but I kept pushing, and I didn't lose my skill, and that's the most important thing. I have been busy creating all kinds of little plushies, not from my designs, but from other people's designs that I have purchased on Etsy. This is an axolotl. I believe it's from Klein Maker. This is a little bunny. Her name is Julia Craft. And here is a snake I created. I added beads. This is from Annabelle of Crochet Grove. I think hers is really cute. I like the twist. I've also been trying little kits. Now this one's from AliExpress. Now the yarn that actually came with it was so small that I had a hard time seeing it. And for those of you who don't know much about me, I'm 67 years old. The Nice and Easy does wonders for my hair. And so I don't have to look at the gray, and neither do you. Of course, this don't help with my oil of Olay seems to have given up a little bit. Anyway, so I use the same pattern, but I did it with acrylic yarn and a 3.5 hook. I prefer using blanket yarn. So with blanket yarn, I can create bigger things and obviously use a bigger hook. Now let me show you my 3.5. It's behind my camera here. Do you see the difference in the size? The 3.5 I can do, but the 7 is even better. Yes, I wear bifocals. It's just one of those things as you get older. But luckily they create the glasses so you don't have to see all this stuff. As I create things, I like to watch YouTube. I think YouTube has more hours spent by me watching than probably anybody else. But who knows? I've watched it so many times that my TV, my smart TV, refuses to reload my YouTube, so I have to go to my laptop. And one of those things I've learned how to do was punch needle. Now, being up in age that I am, I have seen punch needle from back in the 70s. I was in high school then, and I didn't find it interesting. Crochet and knitting and sewing. I pursued a degree in sewing, and so sewing was very popular for me. But this punch needle came out in a different aspect, a different light, and I really am enjoying it. Now, you'll notice that this is on a pencil case, or what is also known as a makeup bag. It's on a smaller bag, but the bag from here to here is 5 inches, and from across is 7 inches. I got them on AliExpress. You can get like 10 of them for $2. And if you order enough of this stuff, there's no charges for shipping. So most of my things that I do purchase is from AliExpress. The nice thing about punch needle, it took a little trial and error, as with any new craft that you're not familiar with, to find out what would be the good formula for gluing the background. Now what I've been using, here's my cup to mix it in, but let me show you what I've been using. I've been using this Mod Podge, and with the Mod Podge, it is really thick. Now the first time I used it, I put it on, and my poor little punch needle design was so stiff you couldn't even bend it. And I was like, oh no, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something to make it so that it'll bend. So I tried other things, other glues, other this, other that, and of course nothing ever worked. And then I saw somebody had the same Mod Podge, but they didn't specify how they thinned it out and then put it on. Now the yarn that I'm using is cotton yarn. To me, cotton yarn works best on this canvas. This is a duck canvas. Now I've tried the acrylic yarn. It does work, but for me, my tension, my drawing, my this, my that, I have found that using cotton yarn on this canvas works best for me. So what I have done is I have started markets, and in the markets I go ahead and I sell these things, but mostly I sell the crocheted plushies. If I could pull up screenshots as I'm talking to you, I would post them in here. But what started the markets for me was my daughter. She sells reptiles. She has her license and she sells her reptiles at these reptile shows. I'm in Virginia, so she asked me, you have lots and lots of stuffed animals that you have crocheted over the years. Why don't you sell them at the markets? And I said, I can do that. So she helped me get a space next to her, and I started selling my stuffed animals. Now, my first show, I did okay. Not like everybody else I see online that sells out in half an hour. I wish, but I'm not that popular. Because I have a full-time job and I have some personal things that are going on in my life that take up some of my time, I have maybe 20 minutes, hour, 2 hours, and sometimes weekends to do my crochet. So what I have to do is plan ahead and see how this is going to happen. Well, after my first show, I signed up for the second show, and the second show didn't do as awesome as I thought it would be. A couple hundred, like $250, $300 of sales, which meant maybe 20 items, compared to the first show where I sold like 31 items. Next show was at Christmas time, and I did pretty good there. Nothing to boast and brag about. I sold 31 items, but some of them were higher priced items, so I made some money off of it, which is pretty nice. But noticing that I go to these reptile shows, the organizer has suggested that I should focus on more reptile related items. And that was back at the beginning. And I said, yeah, I agree with you, but I have all this that I'm trying to see if I can find homes for that people will love and appreciate. And he says, I understand. You have some tweaking to do. So as time progressed on, I've adapted and learned how to create other items. Now I'm going to show you one that I'm working on. This is a lady, I believe she's from the Ukraine, but this is what I'm working on right now. This is called a isopod. It's a ducky isopod, which is basically like a roly-poly reptile. And so I'm making it out of blanket yarn. Of course, this is going to be a nice size for even a small toddler or a child to play with. And it will have a rattle on the inside. I find that when putting rattles in them, they sell better. But with this little ducky isopod, it was a suggestion from somebody at the reptile show themselves. They said, can you make me one? I said, yes, I can make you one. I made another request, was a French bulldog, and the lady was so excited. I trialed and error with 3 or 4 different yarns. I ended up using crushed velvet from Bernat, and it was perfect. She wanted a gray bulldog, French bulldog, to look like her little friend's dog, I think, who had passed away, and she wanted something to remind them of by. She was so happy. And of course I found the pattern on Etsy. Now, Etsy is my go-to place when it comes to getting patterns. In my library collection that I have been over the last 3 years is over 2,000 Etsy patterns that I have purchased. Always on sale. I don't buy them if they're full price because some of them are not really worth some. And I have found all kinds of people who are doing such duplicate patterns, no creativity. It's really ridiculous, and it's really sad to see that somebody's taken somebody else's design and trying to claim it as their own. It shouldn't happen. But everybody's out to try and make a quick buck nowadays, which unfortunately some people are not able to stop. Okay, I've been seeing one lady, she called it a form of plagiarism. Yes, it is. Just because you change a line or two and it doesn't make it something that you've created. Anyway, so to get past that, Etsy has a lot of creative designers on there that have come up with awesome patterns. Now, like this little ducky here, I'm just going to show you the picture again. Okay, you see how big it is in the picture, but look at the flowers that are in there. Okay, when this lady created it, she used a size 0.9 crochet hook, which is about the size of pencil lead or your hair or something like that. Super duper small. I envy her. And I know that when she made her little isopod, it was probably the cutest little thing. And I think it turned out to be about this big, you know, which is about 3 inches when it was done. But the one I'm making using blanket yarn is going to turn out a lot bigger. But what I like about her pattern is the creativity that she put into it. Like I said, I think she's from the Ukraine. Don't know. But you can find a lot of creative patterns on there. Now, if you're in it for the market business part of it, you need to find something that when you look at the picture, look at the rows, and look how many stitches around those rows. Because a lot of these ladies that create these beautiful patterns are creating them with a real small hook and really not designed for market creations. They're designed mostly for personal use, not for something that you can resell after you've created it. And of course, giving credit to her as the designer of making of these patterns, that of the item that you've created from. So that's something else I would like to suggest. So when you find some of these other patterns that are in Etsy, look for if they're using blanket yarn, if they're using a chenille yarn. Those kind of items will go pretty quick, and you can go ahead and make something that you'll be happy with. So hang on just a second. I'm going to show you something. That wasn't long, was it? So I wanted to show you, this is something that we got from AliExpress. It's a kit, and I've taken out some of the stuff. I mean, it has instructions. It'll take you to a YouTube private website, and it'll show you how to create this axolotl. Okay, super cute, well-made YouTube videos that you need to follow. Okay, so originally I started on this. You know what this is? This is the head of this. Okay, because here's the yarn that they sent. It's like a 3-ply, maybe 2-ply sport yarn. Okay, and here's the yarn that I used. Can you see the difference? This one's so much smaller and this one's a lot bigger. And that's the reason why this little guy turned out. Now see how big my hand is? Okay, so he's about as big as my hand. If I would have made this one he would have been half the size. So yarn makes a big difference, okay? Now I would like to show you something different when it comes to the chenille yarn. Now this is Posh from Big Twist. I really like this yarn, and I'm so sad that Joann's is going out of business. But look at the difference between the blanket yarn and the Posh yarn, and the chenille yarn. Okay, this one I'm using a size 7mm hook, and this one I'm using a 4mm, can use a 3.75mm. So depending on the size of yarn that you use will also determine the size that your project will turn out. So like I said, starting with my little ducky here, my duck will probably be about maybe 10 inches long. Maybe, I don't know. But I'm going to enjoy it. Also, another thing too that I do after I purchase my patterns from Etsy, I print them out. Why? Well, we live in an electronic age, and because of my age, my years on this earth, I have always learned that it's best, well, let's put it this way. Let's see, this is probably about 10-15 years ago. I found this awesome pattern on YouTube. I went to the store, I bought the supplies, I paid full price for those supplies. I got home and the lady turned it into a private video because she decided to sell it as a pattern and use that video as a reference. And I was like, so of course either I had to make a decision. Do I buy the pattern and watch it as a private video, or wish something else would have happened? So we live in an electronic age. Things can change in a minute. So I print my patterns out. I buy a pattern, I print it out. After I print it out, I put it in one of these page separator or page holder things and keep them all grouped together. And right here in front of me, oops, I'm going to move, my camera's going to move on me. I have other things that I'm planning on making. Now this is by Annie Caraway. It's her flower cats. These sell really well at markets, reptile or not. And she has the full version with all the pictures, and the other version, which is a quick, I want to make it, don't need to look at the pictures and stuff. So I've been making a lot of her flower kitties. People love them. The bees. And now that we're heading into summertime, everybody wants to be a part of all of that. So I just wanted to get on here and let you know that yes, I'm doing well, and here I am. This is what I look like. And I am what I would call disappointed too with my taxes. Last year they made such a big deal about I didn't have a business license because putting videos on YouTube, you weren't required to have a business license that I knew of, because I wasn't making a lot of money. My videos pay me, if I'm lucky, maybe $1,500 a year. We're talking $1,500 a year. I'm not making a living off of it. So this year, after I went back down to the city and everything, got me a business license. Got a business license. I just renewed it for this year, 2025. She tells me that I am not really running a small business. I'm running a hobby. I was not a happy camper, because I thought with all this effort that I'm putting into it, even if it is just a little bit, shouldn't really be considered a hobby. But she says because of the amount of sales that I have at my markets, and it doesn't matter what kind of supplies and materials and all this other stuff that you buy, it's not profitable. It's not a profitable business, so it's considered a hobby. And last year, after the tax deductions and all the other stuff that goes with it, she says, you have a hobby. Because they said last year I only made, what, $1,800 between my markets and YouTube. Okay, and there's another subject too. The reason why I went down on YouTube was because of the same tax lady that kind of discouraged me. And at the same time, I had that shoulder surgery, so it played a head game on me. And I wasn't too happy with all that. I miss making my videos, but I also need to show you what my life looks like right now. You know how they say that your space is basically saying how it's going on in your mind? I need to show you this because I'm not happy with how it looks, and I do want to get it together. So let's go on a little trip. You want to go on a trip with me? Okay, so here is my desk. You see that mess? You see that mess? Well, we ain't done yet. Let me stand up and let me show you some other stuff. I have been working on it slowly, but let me show you what else. Okay, here's all my Etsy patterns. There's more on the other side of my room, but look at my mess. And no matter how I try to get it together, it's still just a mess. I did organize it at one time, and if you notice up here, the plushies that I decided to keep, all my other plushies I have sold. And my yarn, you see all those holes right there? Well, that's because they're in this bag right here that I haven't stuffed back into my cabinets. But we ain't done yet. Here's my floor. So let's go out here and see what I have. Now this is something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, is organize this. I mean, I got my Posh yarn here. I got my Parfait Chunky in this area right here. And I got all of this. Right here is Big Twist. This is Bernat Blanket. And over here is Loops and Threads, Sweet Snuggles Light, and Chenille Home. Yeah, for months I've been wanting to organize it and I haven't done it yet. So, the only thing I can say is try not to let things bother you. You can take a break. You can try and get it together. But in the long run, it has to get done sooner or later, huh? So I just thought I'd take this time to say, yes, I'm still here. And I'm glad that you're a part of my channel. And I really appreciate you supporting by viewing my videos and creating things that I create. The things that I really am interested in is creating purses and handbags. But it seems like I just don't have the right materials for it, or I haven't learned the niche of it all yet. I do have a lot of the yarns that I need, but I've also found that in this area where I'm at, what sells the most in my craft is crochet plushies. And so I have to give thanks to my two daughters, one who supports me with helping on decisions of colors and stuff and my markets, and my other daughter who suggested to participate in these markets in the first place. I mean, at one time I thought because I was going to retire one of these days that I'll have this as backup. But watching all of the other people online and seeing what a wonderful job they're doing. I can't say I have that. I don't have the backup support I would really like. I mean, I have with my daughters, but I don't have it on the other hand. And we ain't going to go into that. So, anyway, I do have some ideas that I would like to share with you in future videos. If you'd like to come back and visit with me, I appreciate it. And I know here we've been talking for 25 minutes. And I appreciate you listening, and hopefully I gave you some suggestive tips, especially about Etsy when choosing a pattern. There are a lot of awesome designers, and I notice a lot of them have gone off of Etsy, but some of them are still on Etsy. And the only way to really find some of these awesome crocheters is either you go to Facebook, to Instagram, to TikTok, and just type in crochet plushies or crochet amigurumi, and you will be amazed at some of the awesome designers that are out there that do offer their patterns on their own website, but you have to do a little digging to find them. So I hope everything goes well for you today. I know it will for me, because me and this little ducky isopod already had a few discussions. It beat me once, but I'm not going to let it beat me again. You want to know why? I was supposed to do back loop, but in the instructions it didn't say to the back loop of the previous row. I did it at the top row, which made it so I didn't have this little lip right here. I was like, are you kidding me? Just some of those little things you find out as you're trying out a new pattern. Of course, I'm going to be making plenty of these little isopods in different colors. And it's just so you have to make some corrections in the notes and fun little things like that. But I can go on to this and go on to that. But thank you for listening. I really hope that my channel has inspired you. If you go back, I have food, I have home repair, I have how to put up a fence, how to put up a shed, one of those craftsman sheds that I did. And because of my mechanical background, thanks to my father, I'm able to do these mechanical things in a quicker manner than the average person, because I'm old school. So anyway, till the next time we have our video, thank you for being a part of my channel, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.